March 13th, 2020, the day life was put on hold. The world changed overnight. Businesses closed, streets emptied, and fear settled in. In the second quarter of 2020, the U.S. employment rate surged to 13%. Workforces across the country shifted to remote settings, while others lost their jobs entirely. Socially, our lives became confined to just screens, daily routines disappeared, and connection became something we had to recreate digitally. Politically, it was an election year, already marked by tension. The pandemic intensified divisions, especially around public health mandates, masks, and the rollout of vaccines. Culturally, the shift was immediate. Physical distancing became the norm.
The pandemic didn't just isolate us, it exposed us. While we were locked down, the Black Lives Matter movement surged. According to the Learning Center for Public Health Promotion, the Black Americans were constantly bearing the burden of experiencing life-threatening situations. They demanded justice and shining a light on deep racial injustice. At the same time, as we said before, the vaccine rollout hope to many, but also tension. It exposed long-standing distrust in healthcare systems and sparked heated debates about science, safety, and personal freedom. And underneath it all, people were grieving, missing milestones, battling mental health struggles brought by isolation. Now, untraditionally, the same president is back in office, back when the first pandemic started. COVID-19 changed the way we lived overnight. Work from home became the new standards, kitchens turned into offices, and meetings happened over screens. Schools went virtual, then hybrid, then stayed that way for years. Students learned algebra from their bedrooms and graduated with 6 feet of space between them. Even inside our homes, we had to distance ourselves from each other. Families couldn't hug their grandparents, loved ones with weakened immune systems were kept at arm's length for their own safety. Weddings were canceled, funerals were live streamed, holidays were celebrated through video calls. And while we adapted, the world felt smaller, quieter, and more distant.
Today I want to share a story, one that belongs to all of us. It begins not with a single person, but with a community, us. Because when COVID-19 hit, no one was left untouched. Every household, every classroom, every hospital, every neighborhood, we all felt it. Let me introduce you to a few of the main characters. Sarah was in the middle of her high school's talent show when the school speaker came on, school closed for the next 2 weeks. She was excited, 2 weeks off, but 2 weeks became 2 months, and excitement turned into isolation. Nia was a college student. One day she was in the library, and the next she was at home, staring at a screen, trying to adapt to online learning. It was hard, it was lonely, it felt like her world had shrunk. Summer was entering her final year of high school softball, a season she had trained for her entire high school career. But the season didn't come. The games, the community, the sense of purpose, all disappeared. These stories are personal, but they're not unique. They are echoes of a global disruption, a disruption that affected our routines, our mental health, our social lives, and a sense of our purpose. And in the middle of all of it, often working quietly, often behind the scenes, were occupational therapists. Occupational therapists, or OTs, are more than healthcare providers. They are restorers of routine, facilitators of function, and defenders of daily life. During COVID-19, OTs stepped up in powerful ways. They help people cope with anxiety, depression, and isolation, conditions that skyrocketed during lockdown. They restructured routines for children missing school, adults working from home, and elders cut off from their communities. But it wasn't easy. The way OTs delivered care had to change fast. Services moved to telehealth, increasing access for some, but creating new barriers for those without internet or tech skills. New hybrid care models, expanded OT roles in community and public health, a clear understanding of how essential occupation, the things we do every day, truly is to our well-being. We need to recognize that occupational therapy is not optional, it is essential. And that brings us to our call to action. Expand and sustain telehealth. Let's make virtual care accessible and equitable. Reimagine OT education. Let's prepare OT students for a world that includes telehealth, mental health, and crisis response. Advance OT in public and community health. Let's embed OTs in schools, underserved communities, and preventative care programs. To everyone listening, COVID-19 reminded us that life can change in an instant, but occupational therapy reminds us that we can adapt, we can heal, and we can reconnect. Let's not go back to normal, let's move forward. Thank you for watching our video. Bye.